So he's definitely going into the S tier. But how far up the S tier is he going? Oh! No! No! Not the MK9 classic design! Is it gonna surpass Scorpion's Revenge Reptile? Welcome back, my little hard-shelled hamburgers! And today, we're going to be ranking every single reptile design in Mortal Kombat. Again! That's right, this is a part 2 of a video that I made 2 years ago. And the main reason I want to make this video is because I have received a lot of comments of people asking me, Sonic, what do you think about the Mortal Kombat 1's version of Reptile? How would that version of Reptile rank in the tier list that you made 2 years ago? And since I just finished my Reptile Doesn't Suck video, I thought it'd be quite a fitting time to make a Reptile tier list video game and get my thoughts out about the current version of Reptile and also update some things that I said in the past and add new things. So as you can see here, this is the tier list that I made 2 years ago, and as you can see, I added some modifications. I added Rebirth's version of Reptile, aka the worst version of Reptile, and I also added the Shaolin Monk's alt skin for him. Now, I'm not gonna add like every single alt color of Reptile onto this tier list. That'd be insane, although I am kind of insane. I might do that in the future. But this one I thought warranted me putting on the list because it literally changes his skin from scaly to human, and I thought that was a big enough change to at least put on the tier list. And as you can see from the current list down there, I'm going to be ranking all the Mortal Kombat 1 Reptile skins. And I find it very funny that Reptile had like 2 alt skins in Mortal Kombat 9, then he got 3 in X, and all of a sudden in this game, they gave him 6! He has the 3rd most skins in Mortal Kombat 1, right behind Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I do not know why all of a sudden they love him this much. The game hasn't even been out for a year. I ain't complaining though. And we are going to be ranking his default and all 6 of those skins and 2 additional secret ones that I'll be talking about at the end of this video. Now before we get into ranking these characters, I would like to check out this thing known as the community rank. I saw a couple of people actually use this tier list that I made to come up with their own ranks, and this kind of like compiles all the ranks together and tells the total statistics, I think. And as you can see here, you guys are based because you agree with me and you put Scorpion's Revenge and Mortal Kombat X's versions of Reptile onto the S tier, so hell yeah. Although I must ask though, like, which one of you guys decided to put the 95 version of Reptile in D tier? Really? Granted, D tier is still bad, but I mean like, not an F? I did not know there was this teeny bit of love for the 95 version of Reptile. I find that very funny. If you guys want to make your own tier list with Reptile, I would love to see how the Reptile design meta changes after this video goes up, after I add the Mortal Kombat 1's version of Reptile onto the tier list. I'm very curious to see what happens. Alright, enough, as the Gen Zers say, stalling till 10 minutes. Let's actually start ranking the Reptile designs. So first off, we've got the default skin for Reptile in Mortal Kombat 1. Who cooked this hard? No offense to any other like costumes in Mortal Kombat 1, but this thing is like way too good for that game. I've already gushed about how much I love this design in my Reptile Doesn't Suck video, so if you want a 5-minute analysis as to how goated this design is, then please go watch that video. With that being said though, how does this costume rank compared to all these other reptiles? So he's definitely going into the S tier. But how far up the S tier is he going? Oh no! No! Not the MK9 classic design! Is it gonna surpass Scorpion's Revenge Reptile? No! 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 You are not going to surpass that version of Reptile. No! I did not expect myself to be that. What the fuck was that? Like, what raging demon like came out of me there? Like, I had to like stop myself from making that decision or some shit. A part of me actually did feel like it'd be very ironic if after I made the Reptile video and at the end of the video I was like, I still prefer hybrid lizard reptile, but then like he somehow still became like the best designed reptile like ever, you know? I think that'd be very ironic. So luckily, the Scorpion's Revenge Reptile is right there, like holding the line and still being the best reptile in my opinion. Of course, Mortal Kombat 1's default reptile is so damn good. In fact, every single game from now on, if they're ever gonna do some freaking DLC skins or even not DLC skins, this design has to come back. This costume has to be applied to every reptile in the future. Even if he reverts back to like a lizard form, just like hybrid lizard man reptile, he still needs this costume. I guarantee you he will still look fantastic in it, even if he's not a human wearing the costume. In fact, I commissioned an artwork of what he'd look like. Bada bing, bada boom. Damn, look at that shit. Alex DeHale did an amazing job with this artwork here. The costume itself is so good that it needs to be like in every single game. With that being said, I still like his Scorpion's Revenge design more. While we are talking about the goated version of Reptile, I'd like to show you guys some palettes that I like from him too. Granted, I do think his default one is already like friggin' fantastic, and I'm always happy when I randomly get it. There are a couple of other ones that I do actually quite like too. I think the golden skin actually does make him look pretty cool, and I like how they actually make the stripes on the hoodie. They give it a different color, so it makes it stand out. I'm a big fan of this black one. I just really love ninja suits that are like black, and I like rocking this suit with Movado. I just think it fits the bad boy vibe with these two. Other than that, the other reptile skins that I will use are a bit more like exaggerated, not because I like them a lot, but because they actually change the reptilian forms of Reptile, hence why I actually let them use these, because I want to change the reptilian forms. That's why I bear with these skins. With that being said though, these palettes aren't too bad either. As for the gears, I think there are a couple of pretty good winners here that I do like, but in my opinion, my favorite one, and I always love rocking this even on the default version of Reptile, is the Wozikayan Conflict Half Mask. I love masks that give like a monstrous mouth onto it. I think it looks very cool, and this mask is sick AF. Now, I think we should talk about the lizard in the room. Badum bing! How would I rank his lizard forms design? Now, here's the thing though. I ain't gonna rank that lizard form design. And the reason is because it comes with the package. You cannot have one without the other. If you like Reptile from Mortal Kombat 1, you're not just liking him as his human design. You are also taking his reptilian forms design. Like almost half of the moves that Reptile uses is in his reptilian form design, or half of it. Like his arm turns into a lizard, his mouth turns a lizard, etc. So I think it's actually really unfair to rank his reptile form design. It's like if I made a character design tier list and I was ranking Katana, and I'm like, okay, so her face is an S tier, but her hair, D tier. Sorry, girl. That doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm a character tier list design. Why would I separate her hair and her face? Like, it's the whole package, you know? And that's how I feel with Reptile's human form and lizard form. With that being said, though, I know I'm gonna get a bunch of comments of people calling me a coward, a pussy, a fence sitter. No bitches. If I were to rank this version of Reptile, as much as I think this Reptile is great because he adds new things that Reptile hasn't had before, like the falling cancel, the death row, like maybe for that reason I could put him at B tier. Unfortunately, this is a design tier list. I can't really add all that shenanigans to it, so if I were to rank this Reptile, as I said in my video, I'd prefer the 2021 version of Reptile, so I'm basically gonna put him behind the 2021 version of Reptile. That is if I were ranking him though, because I'm not ranking him, so you know that I'm not gonna do that. That's only if I were gonna rank him. No, you know. Since we're still on the topic of the lizard form of Reptile, I would like to also semi-rank the color palettes that you get from this form, because depending on the skin you pick, you actually can get a different color palette of the lizard form, and I think that's very cool. I like every single one of them, but I'm still gonna rank them here. The default version is probably like my number 1, or probably number 2 actually, because there's actually one I like even more. And number 5 I would say is the black Reptile. I think it looks great. I think it's cool, but it's not too obvious the change of it compared to the others. And also he has like a bloody mouth 24/7, which granted, your character is gonna get bloody after the fight anyways, but I don't know, I just find that to be kind of annoying. Like, do you really have to add that thing there? Like, I don't need that, honestly. Number 4, I call it the ugly Reptile color, which is just like the Season of Melina that made every skin ugly. However, I think that the ugly color palettes on the other skins fit really well on this version of Reptile. It just gives him like this nice camouflagey design, and it almost looks like it's a nod to the 95 version of Reptile. I don't know, I think it looks good on him actually. Number 3 is the Christmas Reptile skin, which is like a white version of Reptile, and one of my favorite things about it are the decorations he has on the back. I think it looks very cute. And number 1, I think that's even better than the default version of Reptile, is the blue Reptile. This one looks sick. It's got like electricity patterns all over his body. The blue looks nice. The blue eyes that are glowing look sick. And most importantly, it just reminds me of Godzilla. And that's probably the only reason why I think it's the best. Right after, we have the goated version of Reptile. Now we're gonna talk about the exact inverse of that, the Tyog version of Reptile. The Order of Light version of Reptile. Talk about an exact 180 of like the best design ever. Like, what the fuck am I looking at? Yes, Reptilian Lizard Man. Why don't we give him futuristic armor Power Ranger suit? What? This design was what I was afraid of what we could have gotten for Reptile, because I feel like some of the Mortal Kombat 1 designs are very like, this is what I was afraid of. This Reptile looks like he belongs in Concord. Wow, that is a huge burn for this design. With that being said though, as much as I want to just throw him into the F tier, it's not that bad, so I have to hold my restraint a bit more. So I'm gonna put him like, you know what, since he's all futuristic looking, I'm gonna put him right next to Cyber Reptile. I think it's very fitting these two stick together. With that being said though, I can give him a couple palettes that I think kinda make him look better. I think he actually looks a bit better with more of a reflective armor, so giving him like the gold or like the silver version of him, I think kinda makes him look better. Then there's also one where he actually looks like a pure black like ninja suit, which I think kinda looks cool, although I do wish that Reptile has this palette on his base uniform, but oh well. This also turns into Lizard Form blue, so that's also something else I like about this. That's it. That's the only palettes I like out of all like 30 of them. Why the heck did they give him like 30 palettes? I own more palettes of this version of Reptile compared to every other one. What the fuck, NetherRealm? Also, one other weird thing about this version of Reptile is that every version of Reptile in this game, they have a mask that corresponds to their skin. Like for example, default Reptile has the regular green mask for him, and later on we'll get to the evil version Reptile, like he has his own mask too. But for the life of me, I cannot tell what the Union of Light version of Reptile is supposed to be. On the render, you see him here, it's the default version. In Chapter 15, you see him with the default version. But then also the evil version of Reptile has the default mask too, and that was what he was like in the story mode too. But then in Invasions mode, they actually did give him a mask. So I don't know what the right version is supposed to be on Reptile. For me, I feel like the masks that work on this Reptile are all the ones that look a bit more futuristic. If you want to make him look somewhat better, I think this is the way to go. If you want to like fix this design a bit, you know, go full on with the futuristic design. So make him wear gears that look like the futuristic masks, which again, I'm not even the biggest fan of these futuristic masks, but it does make this design like a tiny bit better. Like overall, I hate this design. Get this shit off my screen, dude. Let me get to the next one. After that garbage skin, everything else is looking up from here, because next up we have the Order of Darkness Reptile skin. This Reptile skin basically looks like a different version of the default skin. It's got the hoodie, it's got the spikes, yet everything about it is just more exaggerated. It's just more in your face, just way more hoo-ha, pow, poo! I'm so good at explaining clothing designs. I graduated design school, by the way. I think it's a cool skin, but not better than the default one. So because of that, I'm going to be putting it safely in the A tier. One thing to note about this costume is that, in my opinion, I think the mask is sick AF. I love that mask. It looks really, really cool. Now let me show you guys some palettes that I like from this version of Reptile. We got the white one, which I think looks pretty cool. I wasn't the biggest fan of the yellow one, but then the fourth snake told me, oh, Scorpion. And I was like, son of a bitch, I'm in. Since this is more of an exaggerated skin, I do kind of like some of the more exaggerated palettes they give to this version of Reptile. I'm actually pretty okay with him looking like this, and in fact, I do get the different lizard form skins if I use these skins too, so there's an added bonus for that. Despite me disliking the lizard skins that they gave him in the season of Reptiles, they still look great actually. The thing that pisses me off isn't the fact that they look great, it's the fact that if you take the damn mask off, it looks terrible. And because of that, I hate this aspect about these skins. However, I can't deny that I do think that these palettes for Reptile actually do look pretty damn cool. Next up, we've got a Christmas Miracle, the Santa's Helper Reptile skin. This one really came out of left field. Like, I was not expecting Reptile to get a Christmas skin. And not only that, it's actually a pretty damn good skin. Like, I think it's cute. I really like it. He's got a bell on his hat now. He's got like Christmassy tattoos. He has candy canes on his waist. The mask is pretty nice too. It's just overall a pretty like damn good skin. I think the only like downside of this skin, and this isn't really a downside because the skin itself looks good, I'm not the biggest fan of the palette choices. It's just like, I don't really like how they change it, but that's just me though. With that being said though, I do quite like the red one because it makes him look like Mario. I think I'll put it above the Order of Darkness Reptile. I think it's in an A tier. I'm not putting it in S. Do I like it? Or yeah, sure, I'll put it like here. I think it's a little better than Order of Darkness Reptile just because like there's more of a theme to it. There's more of like, I see what you're doing here. Whereas Order of Darkness Reptile does have that bit of randomness to it where it's like, I'm not sure what you're doing. You feel like one of those Gen Z people saying hello, Lamau, random, funny. I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about right now. I have been consuming way too much brain rot to be saying lingual like that. Skibbity Ohio Riz. And next up, we've got UMK3 Reptile. Now, if I were to glance at this Reptile and just instantly, I'll be just like, whatever. But I remember what I said in my last video, and that is that I love every classic Reptile design. I think they're just great. So I have to put him in S tier, unfortunately. But with that being said though, the more that I look at this skin, the better it gets. I actually do think they did a fantastic job with this classic rendition of the ninjas. All of them, really. I like the little ninja hoodie on the top of it. Makes it look like cat ears. Despite it being human skin, it looks better than the MKX version. Unfortunately, I have to admit that. This is just better than the MKX version, so it's definitely going somewhere in the S tier. Probably behind the MK9 one. But man, that kind of pisses me off. I find this to be kind of like a basic skin. It's so plain, but it's so good that I have to put it up there. I have to. I actually quite like a couple of the color palettes for this version of the skin too. You got I call it the minty Reptile. It gives them like this minty green to it. And I actually really like this. It inverts the green and the black. It looks kind of cool actually. It kind of reminds me of the Deadly Alliance costume. Do not sleep on that costume design. That costume design is very goated. Then we have this one that I'm not the biggest fan of, but hey, you know, 3 out of 4, that's pretty good in my opinion. And then next we have... What the heck is that? Who freaking fried and cooked the most dripped out Reptile design ever? Mama! You want to talk about not expecting a Christmas skin for Reptile? What about not expecting a damn Daniel design for Reptile? That is so cringe. Why did I say that? I was kind of giving up on NRS coming up with good original skins until I saw those Earthrealm skins. Those are like awesome. I am so happy we have those in the game. It's such an awesome concept. Outworld characters come into Earthrealm and chill. Give them like a super fashion makeover. I love the Katana and Melina ones too. But man, that Reptile drip, I'm just saying, the moment I saw that, I just tweeted out to Netherrealm being like, so when can we buy this? Like, I want to wear this jacket, like, right now. I want to wear the hoodie. I'm sure it's going to be like 2,000 US, but still, like, I want to wear it, like, right now. It is very sick. I love this design. Insta S tier. Insta S tier. I think I'll put it behind the MK9 classic skin. It is amazing. I love this design. I actually do think a lot of the palettes are really great too. Maybe even some of them better than the original. This purple one looks very sleek, and I wasn't the biggest fan of this one at first, but then I looked at it and realized, oh my gosh, this is a reference to the Mortal Kombat 4's version of Reptile. Okay, now I love it. Oh, that flashy purple one right there too. Just Oh, they cooked. They fried. They made Gordon Ramsay happy. And last but not least, we have the 95 version of Reptile. This was one that I was looking very forward to for like a while. Ever since Ed Boon like kind of teased like, oh, we're gonna bring back that old Reptile mask into our new game or something like that. And look, the skin is amazing, but that mask, dude, holy heck, I'm just happy that we finally got that 95 mask in-game. Like, even if I don't want to put it onto the 95 version of Reptile, I can put it onto any other Reptile skin. That's freaking awesome. And with that being said, though, I think they did a great job. They did a fantastic job bringing the 95 skin over. This is like the ultimate fan service for like nerdy MK fans, so I'm super happy with this. With that being said, though, it's almost one for one like a great recreation of the 95 version of Reptile, so but like, which one's better? I'm gonna say it's actually the original 95 version. Despite them looking so damn similar, there are tiny differences, like the mask actually kind of fits onto the in-game version a bit more than the movie version if you pay attention. The only reason why I'm giving the edge to the 95 movie version just a teensy bit more is because in the 95 movie, his mask actually has like a carved out mouth, like it actually like goes inwards, whereas in Mortal Kombat 1 it's actually not really carved out, like it's more of like a flat surface. Like if you really pay attention to that teensy tiny detail, which 99.9% of people do not give a fuck about, and when you're playing in game you will not notice, but as a diehard fan, when you stare at those two masks for long enough, then you'll notice it and you'll be like, oh, I kind of wish they carved it out just a teensy bit more. That's it. That's the only reason why I probably prefer the movie version. Okay, no, come on, no, I'm sorry, I cannot, I would not allow myself to put like the 95 version behind the classic MK3 in-game version. I would not. I'm bumping the 95 movie skin up a bit more. As for the palettes, unlike the MK3 one, I don't think they really cooked here. There's the minty one again, which is cute. There's this one, which looks... no, I don't like this one, and yeah, this one too. It's just not good, not good. Why the heck does this mask turn golden? Like, what? But yeah, the default's great, so we'll just keep it with that one. And that is all the Mortal Kombat 1 versions of Reptile. Many goated designs, like, goodness gracious, whoever's working at NRS must really love this new version of Reptile so much that they give him so much love in this game. I feel bad for other characters due to how much love this guy is getting, but man, as a Reptile fan, we eating good in this game. We are so full, we are so satisfied that they cooked. I'm gonna stop saying the word cook! I'm sick of myself, okay? I'm doing it for you guys. I know one of you are sick and tired of me saying it, so I'm stopping myself from saying that word, okay? I'm sick and tired of saying it. But with that being said, we ain't done yet. I added 2 more Reptiles to put onto this tier list. So, let's rank them. First off, we've got Komodai from Defenders of the Realm. Now, I know that's not technically Reptile, that's literally not Reptile, but he's basically the replacement of Reptile in that show, because Defenders of the Realm takes place after the 95 movie, and because Reptile died in the 95 movie, so they were like, oh shit, well we gotta bring him back somehow. That's bringing a spiritual successor who's basically, like, if Reptile was in the show, then that's Reptile. Komodai, yes. He basically looks like classic Reptile anyways, so that's kind of why I just decided to rank him here. Theoretically speaking, it's a classic ninja suit, so I should put him very high up. However, if you see him take off his mask... Oh! What the fuck am I looking at? What is that? Whoever thinks it's a good idea to make a lizard person a scaly with human skin color? Get out. It looks bad. This almost looks like a rendition of Baraka. He has a nose for some reason. A freaking human nose with that snake mouth. Like, what the fuck? I really want to just throw him into the F tier. However, with the mask, it's a classic rendition of Reptile, so how much do each of those parts take over? If I say like the classic version of himself looks like S or A tier, and when he takes off the mask it looks like an F tier, I think we'll compensate and put him at the low end of B tier. Okay, I'm just gonna do it like that. I would say this though, when he takes off the mask, at least it looks better than the monstrous 95 version. That isn't much of a compliment, but I guess that's something. And the last version I added onto this tier list, this is kind of a cheat. It's kind of like a stupid version of Reptile I'm ranking, but I thought it'd be funny, and then so I decided to put him up here. This guy. Yes, the Storm collectible version of Reptile. I am not joking. I'm ranking this guy. He's technically official. And no, I'm not ranking every other figure of Reptile. I'm only ranking this one because this one actually looks very good. It's a really good classic version of Reptile. However, it's also the first time we've gotten like an HD version of what he looks like when he takes off the mask in MK2 and UMK3. Because when we see him take off his mask, it's a very, very poorly pixelated render of it, so you can barely tell what you're looking at. Well, they actually made him look like that with this figure. And in my opinion, I think they did a fantastic job with it. I absolutely love this. And I thought, because there were rumors about when Reptile returns in Mortal Kombat 1, that he's gonna be human. I thought that they were gonna make him look like this. I thought he was gonna be like the human form design, but then he takes off the mask and he's gonna look just like this. And if that were gonna be the case, I was gonna be super happy with this new version of Reptile. We got something way different, but still, I would still love if Reptile ever comes back in the future, if there's another iteration of him. They do this. They do the MK trilogy version of Reptile where he's a human, but then he takes off the mask and he turns into the reptilian form. The classic MK9 Reptile that they added for him as a skin. I would love it if they do this rendition again. And in my opinion, I think just because of how good they made the Lizard Form's head and booty, I'm literally going to be putting this guy right here. Yeah, baby. I'm crazy. Yeah, tonight. They actually sold a MK2 and UMK3 versions of this Reptile, and they're both great, but like I said before, I prefer the MK2 design more, so probably would edge that out just a little bit. An update for you guys. While I do still like the MK2 version's design for the Storm Collectables figure, there is one downside to this version. For his Lizard Form head, you cannot put the hoodie on top of it, which I actually really like it on the UMK3 figure, so because of that, I think I actually prefer the UMK3 just a bit more now. And there we go! We have added all the new reptiles onto this tier list. Now I'm gonna do some final evaluations and see how I feel about this tier list. All things considered, I don't think I'm gonna really change up much now that I'm looking at it. Even after 2 years later, I still pretty much agree with a lot of my opinions that I had before. F tiers are all still F tiers. D tiers, let me look at the D tier. Oh, funny thing about the Cyber Reptile, there's actually something interesting that I found out after playing Challenge Tower 300. That is not a cyborg Reptile. That's actually Reptile who took a cyborg and put it on himself to disguise himself and trick the cyborg. So it's not a really like cyberification of Reptile. It's just him wearing like a robotic skin, like the current sector in Cyrex in Mortal Kombat 1. It's just like a power suit. So because of that, I kind of don't hate that idea as much as him becoming cybernized, funny enough. I'm not changing the ranking though. In C tier, yeah, I still agree with everything here. The Mortal Kombat 9's alt version of Reptile, I don't like hate it as much as I thought before, but I don't think I'm still gonna move it. From afar, you don't really see the issues, but like from up close, the green vest is literally the same color as like his skin. Like you do realize it's weird when you're looking at it, but when you're gameplaying and fighting against him, it's not that bad actually. And also the alt coloring of that kind of fixes that issue. I'm still not going to move the placement of it. I'm still going to just leave it there. In B tier, here's the thing I want to say about Kraken Reptile. I realized a lot of people actually really hate this skin. I'm actually kind of shocked just how many people would dislike this skin. I like it. I think it's funny. I think it's a cute little Halloween like Kraken version of Reptile that's just meant to be like a funny Halloween skin. I don't know. I don't dislike this skin. I think it's funny. And the funny thing is I have the exact opposite opinion about the Sheldon Monk's versions of the skin. I think it's overrated. I don't think it's like super duper amazing. I think it's great. I think it's good. I put it on the highest of B tiers, but like, I don't know, I don't think it's that great. I feel like I hurt a lot of friendships by saying that. Nothing much about the A tier. That is a lot of S tiers, but you can cut out like half of them because they're just all classic Ninja Reptile, but just a little bit of differences. And then we have MKX, Earthrealm, and the default version of Reptile. And finally, I just want to talk about Scorpion's Revenge version Reptile again, because even after all this time, do I still think he's that good? Yes. In fact, I like him even more now. In my tier list video, I said this is basically MKX version of Reptile but animated. That's a lie, because there's actually more to this Reptile than just that. Like, the arm plate armor is actually different, the Reptile skin color is different, and also the mask is actually really cool. Like, the more that I look at it, there's like these yellow lines on it, and it also has like the ninja like hoodie cat ear thingies, and I just really love this Reptile design, despite it only being in the movie for like 1 minute. This is gonna sound like a really weird tangent. My love for the design of Scorpion's Revenge version of Reptile has honestly like made my life better. That sounds weird, but hear me out. This is where I introduced BK Hat into drawing a lot of my commissions for my videos. A lot of you guys love the Mortal Kombat memes that I commission, and it really started off because of the sexy Reptile My Scorpion's Revenge review. I then got to meet Okamikao, who made a 3D model of this version of Reptile, which is freaking insane, and he did an awesome job with it, and I got to know him more, and he's actually one of the reasons I got into 3D animating, because he taught me a lot of that behind the scenes, and I wanted to animate that version of Reptile. See, look, he's right here. He's waving at you guys. Say hi. And I really can't thank Okamika enough for all the guides and all the help he's done for me behind the scenes for learning Blender and 3D animations in general. I met a fan, Alex Dehale, which I just showed a fan art of his. This guy is insane. He probably has drawn the most Scorpion's Revenge version of Reptile I have ever seen. Like, he pretty much has nailed down the anatomy of this version of Reptile. You can probably ask him to draw this version of Reptile in every single angle, and I freaking love it. Like, I have saved like over like 40 of his fan arts on my computer and stuff. And then also I met Galen McCree on Twitter. I saw that he drew, you guessed it, this version of Reptile, and I was like, hey, that's a cool Reptile. And he responded to me like, hey, you make cool videos. And now he kind of became like one of my best friends ever. Because I've gotten a lot of people to enjoy my videos, I have also now weirdly got a lot of people to appreciate this version of Reptile. I received like a lot of awesome fan arts, and also what's really funny is I have seen other people draw Reptile, and it's this version. And a part of me feels like, what, did Scorpion's Revenge Reptile make that big of an influence, or did me constantly showing it in my videos inspire other people to draw it? I don't know. I've gotten comments of people being like, wow, I love this version of Reptile. Wow, thanks for showcasing these amazing artworks. Is that your OC? I'm like, huh? No. This is, though. So, like I said earlier on, in a very weird way, me loving this design of Reptile kind of made my life better. In a really weird way. And I can only thank you guys for that, honestly, for engaging and chatting and calling me a damn Reptile simp and all that kind of stuff. I'm not really sure where I'm going with this bit, but overall, I'm just very thankful for the past 4 years that it all came to this point where I get to rank a bunch of Reptile designs, and somehow I have a bunch of people watching me for it. So all I got to say is thank you all for that. Again, I really want to see you guys make your own tier list, so I put the links in the description, and tell me which version of Reptile is your favorite. I'm going to guess that 50% of y'all are gonna say the Mortal Kombat 1's version of Reptile, and 50% of y'all are gonna put the Mortal Kombat 1's version of Reptile very high up, but it's not gonna be your favorite. That's gonna be my guess. I'm very excited to see the overall opinion, and I'm actually very excited to see, like, maybe a year from now how the community rank will be, like, now that I've updated this version of Reptile. Anyways, that's all the time I've got. Thank you all so much for... What the heck? Finish me? What do you mean, finish me? I'm back, bitches! I find it very funny that the last time I used this dinosaur mask was literally 2 years ago when I made the Reptile tier list.